Dude, is it Skull and Bones? I don't know, man. I'm not gonna forget that when they brought up that band, and that's how they opened this up with, and they started singing Skull and Bones. But former Skull and Bones director says making a separate solo campaign would have prevented the team from creating a really deep open world. Interesting thought. Ever heard of Black Flag? Just saying. Rick Lane over at PC Gamer. Ubisoft's long-awaited and much delayed pirate adventure Skull and Bones has been elusive not just in terms of its release date, but in what kind of game it actually is. That's fair to say. First, it was a match-based, multiplayer exclusive affair. Then it was going to feature multiple game modes, including single player. And now it's supposed to be a shared world experience similar to Sea of Thieves. It's changed direction more times than a sloop stuck in a whirlpool. But a new report by IGN lays out the whole twisting saga of the game's development in a step-by-step detail, along with the reasons behind its multiple changes of tack. As part of the former creative director Elizabeth Palin reveals the fate of the game's touted single-player campaign and why Ubisoft Singapore opted to ditch it. Skull and Bones was originally revealed in 2017, Scott. 2017.
It's been that long.
Yeah, man. As a multiplayer exclusive affair. But by E3 2018, Ubisoft had announced 3 modes for Skull and Bones. The 5v5 multiplayer mode called Loot Hunt, a cooperative shared world mode, and the single player campaign. In reality, however, the game was still in its prototyping stage, with none of these modes fully formed and no firm direction for the game. When Elizabeth replaced the previous game director Justin Farron, she looked at the project and decided, quote, it would be safer and maybe more interesting for other players to fully focus on the open world, end quote. Palin told IGN. As a consequence, both the solo campaign and the 5 vs 5 multiplayer mode were ditched. Quote, we didn't have the full team to deliver a full solo campaign, end quote, Palin said. Moreover, Palin felt that a significant part of the pirate fantasy was creating your own destiny, and that a narrative-driven solo story didn't really fit with that. She stated, quote, we really wanted to give the opportunity to the player to write their own story. Instead of working on a solo campaign that would have prevented the team from creating a really deep open world, we built lore that can be consumed like a puzzle in the order you want, end quote. Dude, I'm in. Like, that sounds incredible to me. I love pirates. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I love Sea of Thieves. And now I'm hoping I'm going to love Skull and Bones. God knows it's been feels like a decade, right? Since we've actually heard about it, to the point where now, dude, it is like out is it next week, I think? Like, we should hopefully see
10
codes
days,
next
I
week.
believe, yeah.
Yeah, so we should get our codes here hopefully soon. It is, this is funny because it's popping up a lot lately. When we get our codes, a lot of times it depends on who we work with and what company, but sometimes we'll get a code the day of, the week before, or even a month before. Often PlayStation is generous enough to give us codes way in advance, so let us take the time to invest into them, right? Like, when we had, it was Horizon Forbidden West, dude, I had the code for a month before the game launched, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we were able to
Elden
dive
Ring
in.
even.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get in and spend the time that you need to in order to do our job, which is fantastic. Here's the difference, though. This is an online game, right? They need to have the servers up. So we've seen this as of recently with Suicide Squad, right? Helldivers.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on Helldiver codes. Helldivers 2, it's an online game, right? The servers need to be online. So we're still waiting for those codes. So those are hopefully coming in here sooner than later. Skull and Bones, probably the same instance. However, in the past, dude, if you haven't received a code ahead of time, there's generally a reason why, right? That is concerning. But when you take a look in the online component, there's a heavy focus on online, right? You need to roll with your crew. You're battling against other people. You can't do that unless the servers are online with Skull and Bones. So that's where we're kind of going, right? But I'm definitely, the more I see on the game, the more hype and excitement I'm starting to build for it. I'm keeping my expectations tempered. Dude, it's kind of like right where I'm at right now with Suicide Squad, right? We just got our codes. Steve and I reviewing it for the show. And it was one of those, man, going in, this does not look good. Low expectations. Dude, I'm actually higher now. The more I've played. So I'm like, okay, I'm starting to, okay, cool. definitely got some issues, but there's things Steve and I will break down and get into this week before next week's show. But it's been an interesting. All right, it's not as bad as everybody says, right? Like, and us included, because when I was really down on it when we first saw it, like, who wants this? Nobody wants this. This is where we're going. And now that I'm playing it, I'm like, okay, it's got that rock steady charm, but there's got a couple other little quirks and things in there that I'm just, okay. Well, yeah, but again, look for a full review on that. Getting to Skull and Bones, dude, it's been like a roller coaster, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. I was like, what are you guys doing over here? Why is it taking so long? They had a contract with Singapore, so they can't do anything. They have to do it. They have to make the game. So, and then it just re-roll it again because they have a different vision, a different idea. Bring in a new lead, makes new changes, takes longer, scrap the first. Now we get back in. And it's been all over the place. Scott, where are you right now with Skull and Bones?
It's been so long that it's been delayed and talked about and had the real scrutiny behind it that I thought, well, maybe there is something to this. If it's really still going to come out and actually drop, maybe I should approach it with an open mind, similar to yourself with Suicide Squad, because I really do like what this came from. The kind of single player, go out and challenge a new ship, just feed it and go and redo it again. I think that could work as a single player or as an arena based. I think I kind of see their vision there.
Yeah.
But the idea of that being a shared universe has to be with another friend or multiple people online. I think that's also a really interesting idea. I'm wondering if this is really going to have the legs. I don't have another term for that. The sea legs, they say that, for to stay afloat for long enough, or to give us long. Are we going to go through that entire year of roadmap DLC and then that's it? It's just done. Yeah. Is this going to satisfy the itch that I have from a decade ago of Black Flag fighting those pirate things? And I'm keeping an open mind for that because I think that still is possible here.
Which is fair, right? The report also details other reasons behind Skull and Bones' numerous delays, such as figuring out how to build a shared PvE and PvP world, the decision to make the game exclusive to the newest generation of consoles, which makes total sense now because it's been delayed for so long, right? It was initially coming for PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Here we go. We're now in the Series XS and the PlayStation 5. So why not bring it to the latest consoles? Which then, what's the graphical update look like for that? Is kind of where I'm at now, right? The latter of which meant to be the part of the team couldn't work while the game was ported from the previous generation, right? So they have upgrades, that they have changed it over, new format, new this, that, and the other. It's worth noting that Paladin hasn't seen the game to its conclusion either, having left the project late last year. More recent delays have been due to Ubisoft Singapore making adjustments based on beta tests of the game, with the developers adding new elements like tutorial characters and changing the process of boarding other ships from a cutscene to a real-time action that uses grappling hooks. You need to aim, you need to have a feeling of range. It's no longer as straightforward as just pressing a button, said the game's current director, Yeon Yi Mak. So that's where we're at now. Dude, change of hands over here all over the place for Skull and Bones, and it makes me a little nervous at the end of the day. Dude, it does. It really does, right? We've seen 3 different leads now on one game. One game, dude. 3 different people leading the charge? That is never a good sign. You want to see...
That is worrisome. When you think of things like Duke Nukem Forever, and that went through probably a dozen different companies' leadership and changes, and it didn't work out very well, but everybody knows that story.
No, exactly. But again, how well does this pull off, right? They do have the roadmap for its first year. What comes next? We talk about Sea of Thieves often on the show. Dude, they're in season 11 right now. Like, they're full charge here, and they're just crushing it, which is great. But then you get into where we're coming out now with a new pirate game. Different than Sea of Thieves, right? You don't play as a first-person perspective, jumping off the ship, going out onto the island. Instead, you play as the ship. You can't command, like, you don't grab the helm, right? Like, you're not doing that. You're commanding your crew and doing all those kind of tasks just like you did back in Black Flag. Or even if you go into Odyssey, you take charge, but then you're the ship. You're sending out your shots, your arrows, your whatever you're shooting, your cannons, right? All that stuff, and sending out sail. And then when you get to an island, you then hop off, but it's only to get your quest. Like, you're not, I don't believe you're actually fighting. All the fighting is meant to be at sea. This is where I'm like, could we get some actual pirate fighting? Like, I would love to hold the sword, right? Shoot the gun. So we will see at the end of the day, but man, it's been a long time coming.
It'll be interesting if this makes you play a lot more Sea of Thieves. Not exactly what Ubisoft had in mind.
No, pushes you in the other direction is not exactly what they're looking for.
To another pirate. We tracked down the monster who could ram ships from the water surface or dive beneath the waves, only to leap into the air and slam into your ship like a giant red wrecking ball. Getting hit by one of its aerial attacks is devastating, and it sent me to my watery grave many, many, many times. Because the sea monster moves so quickly and in such a wide area, it was hard for the bark to land healing bombards, but by learning its attack patterns and communicating